So stories have been circulating the last few days that President Joe Biden was going to make Armenian genocide official. This is a story from yesterday from CNN. President Biden told Turkish President Erdogan he's planning to recognize Armenian genocide, meaning going from massacre to genocide. And just a few minutes ago, it was reported by Associated Press that President Biden has officially recognized Armenian genocide. And this is how he wrote it in a statement, and this is happening on April 24th, 2021. It's 106 years since the genocide took place in 1950 by the Ottoman Empire. And here's what his statement reads, and I'm going to go through a couple other things with you. This is a very, very big deal for the Armenian community. Very big deal. To the millions of people that march every year, to the millions of stories that Armenians have heard from their parents, their grandparents, their great-grandparents. If you had one that was around, mine was, we had a great-grandma. We called her Tompol Babo, and my grandma's name was Kanarik, and my grandpa's name was Artush, and my mother's last name is Bogosian, and we would hear these stories about why my mother and her family left Armenia and Baku and ended up in back in the days Bandar Pahlavi. But this is the statement from Joe Biden. I want to read it to you. Each year on this day, we remember the lives of all those who died in Ottoman Empire, Armenian genocide, Ottoman-era Armenian genocide, and recommit ourselves to preventing such an atrocity from ever again occurring, beginning on April 24, 1950, with the arrest of Armenian intellectuals and community leaders in Constantinople by Ottoman authorities. 1.5 million Armenians were deported, massacred, and or marched to their deaths in a campaign of extermination. We honor the victims of the Metz Yegern, so the horrors of what happened are never lost to history, and remember so that we remain ever vigilant against the corrosive influence of hate in all its forms. Of those who survived, most were forced to find new homes, new lives around the world, including the United States. With strength and resilience, the Armenian people survived and rebuilt their community. Over the decade, Armenian immigrants have enriched the United States in countless ways, but they have never forgotten the tragic history that brought so many of their ancestors to our shoes. We honor their story. We see that pain. We affirm the history. We do this not to cast blame, but to ensure that what happened is never repeated. Today, as we mourn what was lost, let us also turn our eyes to the future, toward the world that we wish to build for our children, a world unstained by the daily evils of bigotry and intolerance, where human rights are respected and where all people are able to pursue their lives in dignity and security. Let us renew our shared resolve to prevent future atrocities from occurring anywhere in the world, and let us pursue healing and reconciliation for all the people around the world. The Armenian people honor all those, the American people honor all those Armenians who perished in the genocide that began 106 years ago today. I will tell you, I wouldn't be surprised if hundreds of thousands of people around the world are in tears right now, crying, right? And you have to understand this is very difficult for the Armenian community because 60 countries nearly, I believe the number is 60, if not higher, have accepted this event. U.S. hasn't. Years ago, Reagan wrote about it in a statement. It was a speech that he gave, a proclamation. I think it was a proclamation that he gave on April 22nd, 1981, where he said the Congress of the United States established United States Holocaust Memorial. So he's given a message about this. And then in the sentence there, he says, like the genocide of the Armenians before it and the genocide of Cambodians, which followed it, and like too many other such persecutions of too many other people, the lessons of Holocaust must never be forgotten. So it was a message of Holocaust, but he put Armenian and genocide in there. So it was written about. Biden said it again today. One Republican president, one Democratic president, FYI, a lot of other presidents, both on the left and the right, Obama, many of these presidents promised that they were going to make this official. I want you to know that I applaud Joe Biden for coming out here and addressing this and doing this. Also kudos to a lot of the Armenian folks around the world that kept talking about this, marching about it, speaking to non-Armenians who are not aware of this, educating others, whether it's marching on Twitter, whether it's making videos, whether discussing this. It's a very, very special, monumental day. I've been getting messages from people all over the world. And what's interesting about this, how do I take this? Because I sat there and I was telling the story the other day to a guy I was talking to. I said, my memory of my grandma, Kanarik, was my mother's mom. was in Bandar Pahlavi, which is north of Tehran. They had this place which we would go to. They had their dog and, would run around. We had a great time with them. And there was this room she would go to. It was always dark. And she would sit there and she would watch Russian television programming. And she would watch ballet or she would watch gymnastics because Russians. It was just a beautiful thing she would watch. And I grew up with these stories, right? So to me, it's personal for the stories that I heard. Now, to the average person who's watching this saying, well, how does this affect me? Look, everybody, your heritage, mine, we all have a certain story that we go to. And for me, one of the best videos I ever watched was in 2015, a video came out, I think it was NBC, maybe it was Europe or UK or something like that. And they went and interviewed those who survived the Armenian Genocide. It was a group of 31 that apparently were surviving. It may be a smaller number today, but at that time I think it was 31. One of them was born who was 10 years old because the lady was 110 years old. So she was born in 1905, which means she witnessed a lot of it, exactly what happened, what they did. There were 4 sisters and she saw what happened, what they did right in front of her, and she's shaking when she's talking. Those are the ones who experienced the pain. So if that's your grandma or your great-grandma, that's emotional to you, that's personal to you. And those are the stories that have been passed down to us. Now, my phone is obviously blown up with everything that's coming to me. Hey, what about this? Hey, did you hear this? Hey, did you hear that? Did you hear that? What happens now? Why have we been slow to do this? Why has America been slow to do this? Why didn't Trump do this? Why didn't Trump just go and say, hey, let me say the Armenian Genocide because, let me say the fact that these events did take place, but it didn't happen. Even I think it was one of the senators or congressmen led the way. We have 2 military bases in Turkey. Now that this event's taken place, and Biden has discussed with Erdogan behind closed doors, hey, I'm about to do this, I'm going to move it from massacre to genocide, and I'm going to announce it on the 24th, I can only imagine how that call went. And on a call like that, the Turkish Empire, they're a very proud nation, very proud nation. So either U.S. has to owe them a big favor, number one, that you're going to have to owe them a big favor for this to happen. Number two, you're either going to have these 2 military bases that U.S. has in Turkey, right here. These are 2 military bases that we have in Turkey, okay? One of them is, I believe this is as updated, I don't know the exact date, but we have a couple military bases, 2 or 3 military bases in Turkey, that we don't know what's going to happen with these U.S. military bases. Are they going to ask us to leave? Are they going to say, hey, are they going to get are they sitting there right? Like imagine if you're in a U.S. military base in Turkey, your guard probably went up. They're probably even reported saying, hey, just be careful. Here's what we did. You have to understand, you may be mocked when you go in the city. I just want you to know this is what just took place. And let alone if you're an Armenian soldier at a Turkish base, you're working for the U.S. Army, I was Armenian Assyrian in the U.S. Army, so I can only imagine if somebody's like that based over there. But it's going to be interesting. So the blowback, what's the pushback going to be here? One, this could get U.S. to owe Turkey a favor, or this could get Turkey to get closer to Russia, and this could get Turkey to get closer to China. And the reason why Turkey is a very important country in the Middle East is because they have the strongest military in the Middle East. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here with that. It takes a lot of guts to pull it off. In order to do that, the Armenian community is not as big as the Turkish community. You have to understand, it's not like it's a political move. Well, let me announce this as Armenian genocide because, Armenians have 80 million votes or 40 million votes or 10 million votes and 5 million votes, and Turkish don't have any votes. It's actually the other way around. The Turks have way more votes in the U.S. than Armenians do. I think the Turkish population is bigger in the U.S. than it is than the Armenian vote, and as well as the Turkish as a nation is way more powerful. This is Turkey right here. This is Armenia right here. So I applaud the administration. I don't agree with everything, folks, on both sides, but when you do something that I agree with, I want to also recognize that as well. So kudos to Biden and their administration for remembering, recognizing Armenian genocide as an event that did take place, not using it as a massacre, not using it as a tragic event, but saying specifically a genocide. Genocide hasn't happened too often. It's these events that you read about, often the country that is going through this rarely wants that to be taking place. It took Germany a long time to pay their debt and the reparations of what they did to the Jews in Germany, Holocaust. I have a very strong feeling, a good feeling that many of the Armenian politicians are going to go to DC, and they're going to campaign on getting some sort of reparations for this, because it's categorically a genocide. And it's going to be very interesting to see how Turkey responds to that. So the next moves will be very, anything could happen at any moment. If nothing happens the next 4 weeks, I will be surprised. I don't think Erdogan is just going to sit there and say, hey, it's okay, don't worry about it. It's okay, guys, let's just move on. I don't see him as a leader like that. I see him making some comments about this, and it'll be very interesting to see how everybody reacts moving forward. More importantly, if you're Armenian watching this, if you're Syrian watching this, this is an event that took place with Armenians, Assyrians, and the Greeks, because it was the Christian community. And the number has it to be 1.5 million Armenians, 500,000 to 750,000 Greeks, and 250,000 Assyrians. So I'm Armenian and Assyrian. It's an atrocity what happened to those three communities back in 1915. Once again, very happy that this is official, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens from here moving forward. To all the Armenians out there that were constantly going out there, injecting your beliefs in a very peaceful, protesting way around the world when you were marching, I applaud you. I have a lot of respect for you, and I know this is a very big victory for all of us.